We are right in the middle of two major recruiting weekends. The last one had some great recruits and we scored a couple commits out of it, but this weekend is star-studded. Justin Wells, recruiting legend, is giving us the scoop on all the Texas targets coming in as the 5 stars head to Austin. Inside Texas is the spot for all things recruiting in real time. Subscribe to InsideTexas.com today. Link in the description. Several 5 stars, 9 top 100 players, and 14 top 200 players will be on campus. So what do we need to know? Without further ado, let's get into it. What's up, Justin? And I'm coming off a cold, so I apologize if my voice is a little wonky. We have an awesome group coming in this weekend. For perspective, when's the last time we saw this much star power on a recruiting weekend?
That's a good question. I feel like last year when Arch Manning came in for his official visit, it was similar. A lot of big names, a lot of star power, a lot of 5 stars. I think this one, though, is probably more deeper, pound for pound, especially at some of the most important positions, from running back to offensive line to edge to wide receiver to defensive back. This thing is stocked from head to toe. And so you'd be hard pressed to find a deeper, more talented group that's been on campus here in the last few years. But Homer, this group is very, very popular, very, very attention grabbing, and there should be a lot of fun and fireworks this weekend.
Good stuff. Let's start off with wide receiver. 5-star Micah Hudson is currently scheduled for an official, but things could change there. And then we have 5-star athlete Terry Bussey, who Texas likes at wide receiver. And then Parker Livingstone will also be in town. What's the latest on the wide receiver room recruiting?
Let's start with Micah Hudson, the number 1 wide receiver in Texas, number 2 prospect, fantastic football player out of Lake Belton. Texas and Texas Tech, it's kind of been back and forth between both those schools for at least 6 months. Chris Jackson did a great job for the Horns, getting them kind of close, getting them in the mix. But right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Micah Hudson doesn't come for the official visit this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised. He's got state 7-on-7 in College Station. He's supposed to see A&M unofficially on Thursday. Wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make that trip as well. And overall, there's a chance that he's committed to Texas Tech by the time this thing films. Then when you go to Terry Bussey, that's an interesting development because early on, Texas liked him at defensive back. He's the number 1 rated athlete in On3's 2020-24 recruiting rankings in the country. I mean, 5'10 and a half, 185 pounds. He can do everything: football, basketball, baseball, track and field. He does it all. Maybe even a scratch golfer. But when Texas started talking to him about playing wide receiver recently, it caught his attention. How much? We're going to find out. Taking unofficial to LSU today. He'll be in Texas on Friday for his official. He's going to give the Horns a chance to recruit him. He's going to give him a shot to sell him on how he can fit in their system. And he kind of just wants to figure out where Texas is and the vibe with the culture and the buy-in. I think Texas A&M has a lead there right now. And so Texas is playing catch up with that guy. And then you have Parker Livingstone, 6'3.5", 6'4", over 200 pounds. Outstanding vertical wide receiver. Sark is looking, last class, I felt like he stocked up on the slot guys, the inside guys. Now you got to have those vertical guys. If A.D. Mitchell this spring showed us anything, it's that this Texas offense needs an outside guy with length to stretch the field. That's how Sark's offense works. Parker Livingstone fits in that box. That's what he can do. He's got scary speed, great hands, and great body control. He's really just a tremendous athlete out of Lucas Lovejoy. Steve Sarkisian has started this relationship well over a year ago, built a great bond there. As soon as Chris Jackson took the job, he really took to Parker. That relationship has really built and got stronger. Parker's been on campus a few times this spring. He's taken a few visits already. South Carolina was a great trip in early June, but then he was supposed to go to LSU last weekend, told me he canceled it. He said, I didn't really want to waste their time. And that bodes well for Texas because I think that they hold the cards in this recruitment. He's looking at a July 1st commitment date. I think the Horns have set themselves up in a tremendous position for this kid. I'm eager to see Livingstone get on campus. He's being hosted by some of the bigger guys: Arch Manning, Michael Taffy, Colton Voshik. Texas is pushing all their chips to the table for Livingstone as well. And so I think that thing can get wrapped up this weekend.
Then let's look at running back. We had Christian Clark come in last weekend, and this weekend we have 5-star Jarrett Gibson in town. Are things still looking good there between him and Tashard Choice?
Yeah, with Jared Gibson, things remain wonderful. Texas has been in a pretty large lead for at least 6 months, if not longer. Honestly, thought this kid might pop in the spring. This thing is trending Texas, and it's going to continue to be that way. Tashard Choice has known Jared Gibson long before he ever took the Texas Longhorn running back coach job. That's a foundation that had been built for years. Gibson's a dynamic tailback, and Choice knows exactly who he wants, and he's known that in this cycle. They offered a handful of running backs, but they really only talked to two, and that's Gibson and Christian Clark, who took an official last weekend. I think Texas remains in prime position for both of those guys. Gibson's going to have some schools coming at him: Tennessee, Alabama, a little bit. Miami filled in their guy. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida throws in a lure as well. But Jared Gibson in Texas makes way too much sense right now, and I don't see that changing. That probably gets finalized this weekend.
And then we need some guys to block for those backs. We have 4 4-stars heading to campus on offensive line. Who is Flood bringing in this weekend to keep building up that room?
Well, the number one priority is going to be on campus and probably the most likely in this class, and that's Daniel Cruz out of Richland Hills. He came, I believe he took an official to Ohio State. I'm not sure if he made the A&M trip, but Texas has been the school for a while. Flood has prioritized him, and that's your future center. Cruz looks fantastic. Makai Saina is another guy that Texas is trending a little bit with. They're doing pretty well with that guy right now. Now he's got a handful of offers from some of the biggest schools. I know Alabama was in the mix, Texas A&M was in the mix, but right now I think Texas is pushing the right buttons, and so they look pretty solid there as well. Nair Daniels is a guy, teammate of Sadir Mitchell, 2023 signee out of Bergen Catholic up in New Jersey. Texas beat Georgia out for Mitchell, and they're battling Georgia for Nair Daniels. This will be an interesting recruitment to see how this plays out. Daniels and Flood are obviously close. Both of them have those Jersey ties. And then Daniel Calhoun remains the big name, who I don't know if anyone knows where he's going. He's been really, really open with this process. And I say that because I think Texas has a legit shot at him. It's not just Kyle Flood. The Atlanta native is also getting recruited by Tashard Choice, who's from Georgia. It's one of those recruitments that there's some slack there in it, but Texas is catching up. I don't think there's a diehard leader. His dad played at Alabama, not really close to the in-state school Georgia, like most would assume. Tennessee, it has been hanging around the rim as well. And so that's a recruitment that I think Texas could pounce on and really solidify themselves this weekend. The highest rated O lineman in the class, I believe, Roswell out in Georgia. Getting him on campus is big because we know how Kyle Flood likes his O lineman.
Now let's look at defense, especially edge. For the 900th time, edge is our position of need. And we have 5-star Colin Simmons and 4-star Zena Umeazulu coming through. What's the latest intel with those two?
A 1 and a 2 on edge on that big board. That's Colin Simmons, Zena Umeazulu. With Colin, number 1 player in the state, number 1 edge in the country. Steve Sarkisian has been so strong in signing elite guys at every position over the last 2.5 cycles. I mean, really, except the jack position, that edge backer. Colin Simmons remains the 1 5-star they haven't got. That recruitment is a marathon. I try to tell people at Inside Texas, this is like 38 special. Just hold on loosely because this thing is going the distance. And if Texas wants to win this official visit weekend has to go well, which I'm not worried about that. They've done a tremendous job building a relationship with Colin and his family. There's family connections there. There's Duncanville connections there. Texas has done a great job. They're just battling teams that have won national championships in the last few years. LSU and Georgia. Alabama is no longer in the mix. It looks like they've both mutually parted. This OV is going to be big. I talked to Colin last week, and he said that, he had been at the On3 NIL Elite Series in Nashville and loved it. He said, now I'm ready to go back to Austin. I'm ready to see my friends. I'm ready to catch up with the coaches, kind of see what everything's going on down there. So Texas is squarely in it. What they need to do is have a great visit weekend, obviously, and then just stay the course throughout the season. For Texas to win this recruitment, they're going to have a great season because Colin's going to look at that. You play for the Big 12 championship. That's going to really help for Colin. You get into the top 10, near the end of the season, that's really going to help with Colin. And so Simmons is a marathon, folks. Get you a little bit of water because this thing, you need to hydrate for the rest of this thing. And trust me, Colin is a savvy, smart kid. He understands the media, he understands this process, and he knows how to use it for his advantage. Zena Umeozulu, 6'4". I think he told me he's about 235, 240 now. There's not one recruit that's going to be on campus that's seen Texas more or been to more Texas games than Zena, partly because his older brother, Neto Umeozulu, who signed with the 2022 class out of Allen, played last year on the offensive line. He's there. I asked Zena last night, is there anything different you're looking forward to seeing? You've been there so many times. What are you trying to get out of this OV? He said, really, I want to dive more deeper into the academic part of it. I want to check out the business school. I want to check out kind of how I would fit and what those prerequisites are and things of that sort. I think a Zena decision is probably soon. Probably July. I know for a fact, he told me he doesn't want to go into his senior year dealing with the recruiting process. Zena's not going to take that long. I think he just came off an Oklahoma visit. That's a school that's pushing. Texas A&M is also pushing. I think LSU's backed off a little bit, but right now, Texas still looks really good for Umeozulu. He's got a great relationship with PK. He's got a good relationship with Coach Choate and Coach Banks and some of the other staffers. And so Texas needs to nail edge in 2024. If there's one position that they've really got to add some elite talent, it's on that outside linebacker edge type guy. Colin Simmons and Zeno's Umeozulu both check those boxes.
An interior defensive line is also important positioning for the SEC. We have a 5-star coming in and some out-of-state dudes. So who are the names Bo Davis is targeting for this official visit?
There's some big names coming at the defensive line position, but number one priority is Alex January. He's 6'5", 310, 315 pounder, defensive tackle out of Duncanville. His dad, Michael's a Texas legacy. He just came off of an LSU visit, and he came off a Florida State visit and an Oklahoma visit. He wanted to leave Texas for last, and I think that's a good sign. I think the Horns are in a great position there with January. They really just got to kind of push through because I think January is looking at a mid-July decision. And so Alex January is definitely a guy that you're going to be moving to the SEC. You need to stockpile defensive linemen that look like that type of player. Now for the rest of the kids, mainly the out-of-staters, Dominic McKinley out of Louisiana, they're battling everybody for him. He's one of the best in the country. I don't think Texas can fight off LSU for that one. The parents want to make that a relatively close commitment if possible, where they can get in the car and go see their kid. That's not to say he wouldn't leave the state. I know Alabama really likes him. Georgia really likes him. Texas is going to be battling the biggest programs for McKinley, so that one's going to be tough. DJ Lindsey's wide open, former Arkansas kid, moved to IMG Academy, so he's going to be playing in Bradenton, Florida. That one's pretty open. I know that Texas is in the mix there, but that remains to be seen, kind of their footing. With Terrence Hibbler, he committed to Mississippi State a couple weeks ago. He hasn't said he's not coming to the official yet because Texas is still recruiting him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't arrive, if Mississippi State coaches can hold that off. Texas really dove deep into the Southeast region for some of these defensive linemen in this cycle. It's down in state a little bit outside of Alex January, and so they're going to continue to recruit some of those guys, but they're really going big game hunting with a McKinley and with a Lindsey, and then trying to stay in the mix with a Terrence Hibbler.
And finally, we got the DBs, and we have some total ballers coming in. Who do we need to pay attention to, and where are we at with all of these guys?
If there's one position to be excited about this weekend, it's the defensive back. That secondary room is loaded. Top to bottom, Texas is in a fantastic spot with all those guys, Homer. They look really good for Kobe. I think they reinforced that earlier in the spring. I think there was a little slack there in the recruitment. They made up for it. Black had been on campus like 2 or 3 different times in the spring. I love where they stand with Kobe Black. He wants to take that decision to the link, November, December. But some of these guys, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a call in July and August to get it over with before the beginning of their senior year. Kobe gives me that kind of impression. Corey and Gibson does too. It's his birthday coming up this weekend. The more he took visits to Clemson, the more people thought, okay, this is going to be Clemson. And we maintained, absolutely, Clemson was a threat. But the further away he got from those trips without a commitment, the more likely Texas was going to be the school, or Texas could be the school. Because one, Sweeney he pushes so hard. He wants that commitment within days of that visit. And if they don't get it, they move on to the next guy. Obviously, they're going to stay on Gibson, but I think that foretells very well for Texas. Selman Bridges might have the most upside of all of them. I mean, we're talking about a 6'4" cat that can flip his hips. They like him at corner. They like him at nickel. They like him at safety. He loves that Texas has 5 defensive backs on the field at any given time. It gives him chance to use his versatility and potentially play early. And so him being on campus is big. And then Jordan Johnson-Rubel remains the number one priority at safety. The IMG Academy guy, he's from Fort Worth. There's a vibe there with these DBs that was with some of the Metroplex kids last year when they committed to Texas, when it was Jonte Cook and Manny Muhammad and Anthony Hill Jr. There's something there with this DB group because Corey and Jordan, a lot of these guys grew up together in the Fort Worth area in the Metroplex. And so they've known each other for years. And they've been talking for months about the potential trips and where they may play in college. And so if there's one position that, I mean, really just top to bottom looks outstanding this weekend, it's the DBs. And that's a good thing because Texas needs to restock the cupboard in the 2024 cycle with these guys.
Exciting weekend ahead, brother. And I know you're on the ground at Texas during these OVs, so please let everyone know where they can stay locked in on all the recruiting.
Yeah, just come see us at InsideTexas.com. It really is the best community in the industry. We have so much fun. It's like a locker room. We've built so many friends. It's such a unique community. We've got content obviously going up on a regular basis. And there's so much to talk about with recruiting this summer. These visits in June are huge. July is going to be an enormous recruiting month for Texas fans that want to dive in. So give us a shot. Let us earn your business. Come see us at InsideTexas.com. Follow me at Justin Wells 2424 on Twitter, and I hope to see you guys soon.
And that's a wrap on Justin Wells. Head over to InsideTexas.com and sign up today. Thanks for hanging out. Watch some more of my videos here. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want to support quality Texas content. As always, hook 'em.